I don't want to see. Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of Creeptastic. I am your host, Cameron Wilson, along with my partner and good friend, Scott Campbell. How are you doing today, Scott?
Good, thank you. And how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Obviously, we've been a little bit behind the last couple of weeks. However, we're going to get right into it, hit our groove back. I'll probably start us off with my first story, I guess, for the week. I want to cover. I'm doing another cryptozoid going back to the great state of Massachusetts from where we are, of course, located. This week, I decided to do the beast or Toro, Massachusetts. For those that aren't familiar with the town of Toro, Massachusetts, it's actually on the outer Cape of Massachusetts, Cape Cod. It's a vacation beach destination town. 75% of the community is roughly undeveloped and undeveloped land that you really can't build on. A giant ecosystem protected by the National Coastal Registry. And anyway, so the beast or Toro has been believed to be lurking in this town for a long time now. I'm sure. Have you heard of the beast of Toro before, Scott?
You know, I may have heard somebody talk about it, but I never actually heard the story.
Okay, well, I'll just get us caught up to speed here. The first sighting of the beast of Toro was actually in the mid-19th centuries when many locals were claiming to actually physically see the beast or the animal, but they really couldn't quite identify what it was. They knew it wasn't quite a fox, and it was also killing a lot of farmland and going through a lot of their livestock. And there's also a lot of rumors too from people hearing noises and screeching sounds. And a lot of the locals started to assume that there was a rumor that a ship from its way from Africa, an escaped lion, somehow possibly got onto the Cape. And then originally that was one of the other names of the beast of Toro was the Toro hyena, because a lot of locals said it even makes weird screeching, weird laughing sound at night. And anyways, around that time in the mid-19th centuries, weeks after residents, children, and women staying in, being afraid of the beast, hearing the beast, eyewitness accounts, no one finding anything, a hunter crew was brought together to go in and out around the town of the property. And unfortunately, nothing was found throughout that town. And at the time, actually, Thomas Stone, who was a local physician and poet, he actually made a poem kind of parodying the whole event. And I'll sort of read some of it right now, where he wrote, "Somehow it's a lioness brought by ship from Africa's sunny shore, that place now are capes and sands, or is mourning for whelps and most facetiously. Still, I had hyena whose fearful howl had shook the woods a long ago in company in the fierce jackal fighting. The felina had see some unbelievers with taunting sneer, sore tossed scout a dog, deer, whose footsteps, magnified by fear, has seized that fearful hatred. But those fearful footsteps stand on the Atlantic strand, and the mourning cry runs through the land, as it's from loved ones and parted." So, yeah, and that he kind of is sort of mocking the fact that, it's a hyena or what believes to be a wild cat, because at that time, even local settlers realized that there weren't any wild or big cats on the Cape. At the time, too, people were seeing footprints in the sand. Now we're going to fast forward to 1981, and that September 1981, there was a couple weeks period where there are about 2 dozen domestic cat, lead people to think that maybe the beast of Toro has made a return or made a comeback. That was really the first sign. And then this next part, and why I was really intrigued by this story, is a local Toro police officer named Dave Costa, who was also a hunter, had pigs and livestock. And one day when he returned from a hunting trip, he found 2 of his. It's all good. You still there, buddy? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Scott.
All right, hold on. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know what the hell just happened.
should we start over, or what's your call?
Yeah, hold on a minute. Let me Let me shut the recording off. Sorry, man. I don't know what the hell just happened.
No, hey, it's totally fine.
Interference of some sort.
It could be the ghost.
All right. Oh, well, hold on a second. Let me see something here.
Oh, you're good, buddy. You're good.
All right. No, you can keep going because he's going to edit it. So just keep going from where you left off.
All right, all right, cool. Long as Kevin knows that. Thank you, Kev. So as I was saying, back in 1981, that's when the beast, the legends, the myths sort of made a reoccurrence in the town of Toro. There were 24 cats found dead across town, and some of them being found in the same area together, which started to lead people to think that the beast might have made a return. And then this really started to pick up ground after later, a few months after this, December 16th, a Toro police officer named Dave Costa, who was also an avid hunter, came home from hunting duck, and he found that one of his pigs was assaulted. And what he found was, like, on the back, there was a lot of gushing and stuff going. Marks were horizontal, not necessarily up and down, and indicating that whoever like this, the pig sort of jumped on it, kind of mangled it, and the pig was attacked so bad that it actually had to be put to slaughter and put down. A couple of weeks later, south side of town, 2 more pigs were attacked as well in similar fashion, but not as easily bruised or assaulted. So this led to the beast of Toro, and in a cover in the Boston Globe reporting about, is there a mountain lion or some type of wildcat or cat beast on the Cape? So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then there's a couple more eyewitness accounts where a late night, a young married couple bought a house in Toro, recently new residents. And then one night inside their house, they actually heard screeching hyena sounds from outside, cat-like sounds. Didn't really see anything. Wait until the next day to go outside their house. And they found what looked to be the size of similar looking puma footprints, which were pretty interesting. And as well, that same year, a local tourist from upstate New York told local town selectman Edward Osselin about that he actually saw a wild mountain lion cat in the middle of North Toro. Wow. So that was pretty interesting. And like I said before, there was this story that was also covered in the Boston Globe by Officer Dave Costas with the Toro Police. And then there was also an article written in the New Yorker, which, sorry, not the New Yorker, give it a little bit more credibility. The New York Times published a piece about the beast of Toro, and they actually referenced 2 local eyewitness accounts. Let me see right here. Let me just pull up the article. It was a William and Marcia Marciano of Toro. They said actually one day they were taking a walk, and they waited 3 months to report the incident because they didn't think anybody would believe them. But when they were out hiking on the beach on North Meadows Beach, Williams, he actually seen like the beast and pointed out to his wife, and they estimate that it had to at least be about 6 feet from like its knees up to them, at least weighed about 200 pounds. Wow. They tried to make it down to get it to run away from them, and they even tried to get a stick in case the beast would come towards them. However, supposedly they claimed that the beast heard them moving around trying to get the stick and eventually just ran off. And like I said before, they waited months to sort of report what they seen to people, thinking that no one would believe them. And I find it pretty fascinating because, like I said, that was covered in the New York Times, and they even referenced the other history and other eyewitness accounts of people that may have seen it. And some of the things that people believe that it may have been, like I said, in the mid-19th centuries, people assumed that it was an escaped lioness from a ship coming from Africa. Other people in the 80s actually said that they thought it might have been some seasonal person or some rich guy from Provincetown that had a wild cat and it got loose. Because the thing is mountain lions and the eastern mountain lion has been extinct supposedly in Massachusetts since the 1850s. And also for an animal like that to make its way to Toro on the Cape where it is, the animal either have to swim across bay or swim across the Cape to get to it, or go up to the Cape Cod Bridge and kind of make its way down Toro. But you do have some credible people looking into this, a local cop, local selectmen, as well as credible media news outlets covering this too, from the Boston Globe and New York Times. Many other theories are that a lot of the attacks were attributed to either wild dogs or type of dog, but most games and wardens seem still somehow is not sure if maybe that wild Toro beast is still there.
Wow, and that's recently.
Most of them are. In terms of the New York Times story, that was about 15 years ago, but the Boston Globe, that was more of the 80s. However, there have been people more recently like coming forward saying, I've definitely seen it. And there's been a lot of those that saying I've seen it as far as even 2019. And to some degree, obviously it'd be hard for a wildcat to get there. But like I said before, a town of Toro is only 25% habitable, and it's mostly, for the most part, an ecosystem, a woods for game and wildlife. So for a wild animal to live in Toro, it is a great place to live nonetheless.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head when you said that. It probably belongs to somebody who, because a lot of people have like tigers. I mean, there were tigers. I know somebody, I don't personally, but I heard of a story of somebody in New York City owning a tiger, and it was in their apartment. So,
yeah,
so
they
I
got
mean,
all by it.
yeah. So I mean, anything's possible. It probably belonged to somebody and it got out, or who knows what, and that's probably what it was. But to live that long, I mean, you never know.
Hey, that's why we study folklore and paranormal. These
Yep,
things have a way of standing the test of time.
yep, that's true.
So,
Okay, well, I'm doing the Maine's haunted Mills Agent House in Vassalboro, Maine. Now, this
there.
house is extremely haunted. There's a lot of paranormal going on in this house. I just heard of it. Like I said, like I told you before we started, my cousin used to belong to a paranormal investigative team. She went there and she told me she had a hell of a time. There's a lot of it's on the Travel Channel. I don't know exactly what show it's like. It's probably like My Ghost Story or something like that. But it's one of those paranormal teams that went there and recorded it and then put it on the Travel Channel. It's in Vassalboro, Maine, which is quite a ways up there. It's up past Portland. The guy who owns it now, his name is Ray Brett, and he purchased it in 1995. And the only thing he asks people, now he'll let you go there and spend the night, or he'll let you go there and investigate, whatever you want to do. And the only thing he asks is that if you go there, he wants some evidence from you if you're a paranormal team, because he catalogs everything. He likes to document everything. I don't know why, for whatever reason, but he does own the house, and he's got catalogs and catalogs and catalogs of document proof that the house is haunted. And there was an interview on him. If you go on YouTube and you type in the Haunted Mills Agent House, it's quite an interesting story of how he bought the house. Now, back in the 40s, a doctor rented the attic of the house, and the doctor used the attic for illegal abortions. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of the paranormal comes from, is, and that's one of the most haunted parts of the house, is where he performed the illegal abortions.
I can only imagine all the stress in that room.
Oh, I can imagine. And a lot of people, when they get there, a lot of teams, when I say teams, I mean paranormal investigative teams, there's a tree out in the yard. It's a giant, I don't know if it's an oak tree or an elm tree or whatever it is. It says on the video there that I saw. When you go there, and my cousin had to do this too, you should touch the tree before you go in. And what it's supposed to do is they call it a grounding tree. And the grounding tree is to get rid of all negative energy from your body before going in. And a lot of them also do it when they leave, so that anything that is attached to them will hopefully leave their body and go into that tree when they leave. Doesn't always work, but a lot of them do that, and it seems to work, but not all the time. Paranormal teams, they also bring toys to try to appease the kid ghosts that run rampant through that house. They leave toys out, balls, children's toys, but they're always moving around at all hours of the night. So if you spend the night there, don't expect to get any sleep. Toys are always going off all hours of the night. The owner, he's actually gone down to the library to get archives of the house that dates back to the 1800s, because it was a Mills house, and it was originally owned by a family called the Wang family back in the 1800s. And he went down there to try to get as much as he could to archive. And the creepy part is every picture he got dating back to when it was first the family who originally owned the house back in the 1800s, he looks at the pictures and there's a picture of a person that looks exactly like him in those pictures. Every single picture. And he shows the picture on that YouTube video.
What? I gotta check this out.
He's got a mustache, and he shows the picture to people like this. And he said, "See, that's me." And he goes, "That looks exactly like me. This was taken in like 1840s or 1850s." And he goes, that's me. How the heck can I be in that picture? And I don't know. I don't have any family and nothing. So it's incredible. And they think that that's
the incarnation.
Yeah, well, they think it's the spirit's way of telling him that they want him to run that house.
Interesting.
He sees hundreds of encounters daily. So imagine that, like hundreds of them, like not just one or two. He's seeing hundreds of them, all sorts of encounters.
Oh yeah, in certain instances, just forgot about, like in terms of crazy experiences or interactions. That is well, yeah, that is fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, most of them happen in the attic, like he said, where the illegal abortions took place. And he said most paranormal teams, unless they're really, really, really experienced, don't make it past midnight.
Really? Yep. Sounds like you and I check this place out.
I'm kind of nervous because he said teams have actually called him, and after they've left at midnight, will call him and say, "I brought something home with me. What do I do?" And the guy will be like, "I don't know what to tell you. I warned you about coming to this house." And it's
where in Maine is this again? Like, what's the name of this town?
Vassalboro.
Vassalboro?
Vassel, Vassalboro.
Vassalboro, okay.
Yeah, it's up there. It's
because it reminds me of this haunted hotel that I stayed at, actually, in Acadia National Park. That's near there, but it's not nearly as scary as this place, or as cool.
This one is heavily documented. This one is, like I said, it's been on that show on the Travel Channel. I wish I knew the show, but check out the YouTube. Let me see. Let me check out the YouTube video. Oh my, you will completely like say wow when you hear let me see if I can. Oh, right here. Type in Mills Agent House on YouTube. Wait a minute. That's not it. I forget I said that. Hold on. Maine's. when my cousin went, she went up to the attic, and she went up there with a I don't know if it was a what do you call it? She went up there with somebody, and they did a thing called the table trick, where you put your hands under a table, but you don't touch the top of the table, and it kind of leans over. Something like that, she was telling me. And the table really did lean to one side, but it didn't fall all the way. And my cousin was so disturbed, she kind of left and went out, touched the tree, and said, "I'm out of here." So yeah, look, check out what you can on it. I mean, it's really an amazing place.
I'm actually looking it up right now. I kind of want to go here.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to take a chance because I'm kind of nervous, especially with all the activity.
No, that's what I live for, bro. That's what I live for, man. I mean,
Did you see the picture of the house? Did you see a picture of the house?
Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely it looks like a beautiful place. I mean, the town that it's in definitely looks pretty beautiful.
The guy's a real nice guy. He'll let people go and explore, no problem. But like I said, you just got to give him some sort of documentation, whatever you find or something, or that's all he asked. He just wants to document everything.
Hey, no, it's totally understandable. Totally. Well, you gave me something to look forward to add to my vacation itinerary next time I go to Maine. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Well,
so what do you
I think
say?
now maybe.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You do. No.
Oh.
You already started.
What do you say we get into some sports now? Because we're behind a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. Definitely do. Patriots, of course, as a Ravage Patriots fan, we can always talk about that. And the interesting start to have to a 2-4 season with a rookie quarterback, where it's not his fault the team's 2-4. Yeah, I think the last game we did was before the Titans, the Texans game. I'm not gonna lie, we could probably skip that game because it was a god awful game. Sorry, God, not to put your name into it. It was an awful game. The Patriots had to claw back from behind to win. Defense looked awful. Then the following week they played Dallas, when Dallas is actually a really good team, and
it was close.
Honestly, yeah, it was close. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Dallas sort of kind of kept New England in the game just because on paper, when you look at both teams, Dallas is the better team, superior matchup. However, New England actually could have won it too, but this defense is very I don't know. It's definitely other than Judon, there's not a lot of pop in that defense because the linebackers look slow. They really can't cover anybody on the run. The secondary is not bad, but JC Jackson, the premier corner, he's undersized most of the time, and you get rid of Stephon Gilmore for peanuts practically. So in terms of that, I don't really know where this team goes other than play for pride and hopefully get lucky and maybe you can back your way into a playoff spot. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I kind of look at it two ways. I look at it as, it's like it's one of those years where we'll wait and see what happens. We have a lot of the guys long term, like Hunter Henry and the other tight end there. I keep forgetting his name.
Juju Smith.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith, and I think it, regardless of what happens, even if we have a bad record, it'll be good for draft time. And I always look at it like that. Like, if we know we're not going to stand a chance, like, it's looking that way now. It's looking like, I know it's still early, but we're 2-4. We got the Jets this week. Okay, hopefully we won't lose to the Jets. They stink. But if we get to 3-4, and I don't know who we play the following week, but I'll have to check and see. I know we play. Let me see.
I'm not entirely sure either.
Yeah, let me look it up and see.
not entirely sure myself.
But I know we
I
have
was
the Bills
shocked by
coming up
the
twice.
unusual start that we had.
I know we have the Bills twice. We still haven't played them yet. So we got some tough games ahead of us. And, I always look at it
Really up
as,
to my ears and with the Red Sox too the last couple of weeks.
yeah, that's another thing. Uh, I've been very impressed with the Arizona Cardinals. I know we're trying to stick to the New England Patriots because they are our team.
No, we can talk about all NFL. Nope, we can do all
But
NFL.
I'm soured about the Red Sox because I thought they were going to beat Houston. Hopefully, are they playing tonight? I think the Sox are playing tonight.
Yeah, they're playing tonight. Actually, the game started a little right as we started this recording. Yeah, no, but to go back to your Arizona comment real quick. Yeah, they're looking pretty legit because I mean, Kyler Murray is an exciting quarterback to watch. I mean, he gets hurt well because he's a little guy, but they're they're pretty good. They're definitely an exciting team to watch. They're the last only undefeated team at the moment. Obviously, that offense, star power. That defense is pretty legit when they have Chandler Jones having historic half times and seasons, and then JJ Watt. Yeah, he's not JJ Watt when he was 21, 22, but smart player, big guy, still intimidating. I wouldn't want to be lined up against him nonetheless. And I think the Arizona Cardinals will find a good way to use them. In terms of other surprising teams, obviously the Chiefs they're kind of a little bit I think they just got themselves to 3-3, I believe.
Yeah.
Or so. So I mean it's kind of great to see them taking the team for a little bit, realizing that it's kind of good seeing them fall a little bit just because they're sort of that like rival towards the end of our last Brady era when we had Brady here. So in terms of the Red Sox, honestly, it's been I could just do a whole review on the season, but when they're good, they're really good, and when they're bad, they're really bad. And you're kind of seeing that in this Houston series and all throughout this playoffs because before the playing game, if you ask me, as long as they beat the Yankees, I'd be happy with that. Bragging rights in our rival home. But then, we're getting deeper in the playoffs, obviously being Tampa and losing the first game to the Astros, then being really hot for two, and then the last two being down. So we'll see. It looks like tonight I'm thinking they're going to win tonight, but I'm hopeful. I mean, Red Sox.
Are they in Boston tonight?
No, they're in Minute Maid Park in Houston, or Minute Maid. Let me see. I think it's if I was to guess, it's still 0-0 because I think first pitch. I could be wrong, but I think it was around 7:05. So I'll just see if I can give you a score update. I don't quite have it yet, but let's see.
For all you Houston fans listening, we wish you luck. Sorry,
starts at 8:08. Okay, well, the game hasn't started yet, but nonetheless, we're kind of lucky at the point where all four teams in terms of the Boston area are kind of still in play with, the Red Sox going on a deep playoff run. Patriots obviously unfortunately 2-4 start. Celtics, game 2 of their seasons tonight, as well as the Bruins, I believe, because I know their opening night was the same night as the Celtics as well. And unfortunately, both those teams lost. The Revs, though, the New England Revolution fans, they're kind of keeping it kicking. So, not the biggest soccer guy, but
yeah, me either. But I think it's time with the Patriots. I think it's time to really upgrade. As much as I love Bill Belichick, I really do. I think it's time to maybe start changing things up. And it might be including Belichick. Now, I'm not a hater of Belichick. I'm a hater of his ways. I think we need to start getting some young, talented, and go for the big wide receivers. We had an opportunity to get some really big name wide receivers. And look who we ended
No,
up getting. And that's not even, I mean, we got Kendrick Bourne, who's pretty good, and Nelson Aguilar, who's not
yeah,
bad. But we could have gotten I don't know the guy's name. I think he went to Tennessee.
Julio Jones.
Yeah. He wanted to
Yeah,
play in in New England.
he would have been a difference maker for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the thing because I mean, for the longest time we always said in Bill you trust and Bill you trust, and we're kind of at that point now where maybe it was Brady, because Brady, you know, leaves here, Patriots immediately start to look like a skeleton of themselves, and then he goes to Tampa. They let him do what he wants to do, and all of a sudden they're winning the Super Bowls, or at least looking like a high-powered team.
well, they've
So
also got some great players over there. I mean, look, the thing is, we
they had great
you
players
know,
the year before Brady went there, and they went 7-9. So
yeah,
I
that's
mean, you're
true.
right,
That's
but
true. But I wouldn't mind seeing Odell Beckham. I know that's a name that's always thrown out there. He's always on the trade market. The trade deadline's coming up. I think it's the end of the month. And again, one Belichick will probably not go for, but
honestly, yeah, like if they're a really good wide receiver, if they're not cheap, Belichick's probably not going to go for them. I really didn't mind him signing Hunter Henry or Smith. They're definitely up. Like, are they a little underperforming? Smith, yeah, a little bit, but they're better than what we had the previous year in terms of those tight ends. In terms of the receivers, I don't mind Bourne, but there are other guys on like the free agent market, like Emmanuel Sanders, or Juju Smith-Schuster, like or Will Fuller, guys that were, I'm not gonna say better or worse than Aguilar, but they had a more consistent reputation because Aguilar, he's known as being that fast, deep field threat guy, but he also has a reputation of doesn't have the best hands. So, do you really want that to be your number one wide receiver having questionable hands? Like, heck, even though T.O. had a bunch of drops, he still had a bunch of catches where I don't think Aguilar sort of offsets that balance with his production of lack of catches as opposed to, high impact catches. Because he's only made a couple of catches here or there. He really hasn't popped off. Bourne's the only one that sort of kind of popped off. Hunter's hitting the groove. And it's really interesting to see where they go from here because the running game isn't quite what you thought it was going to be with the
yeah.
offensive line being in shambles. And then not to mention the backcourt, not the backcourt, the backfield with James White going down, who is a very valuable running back, as well as, trading Sonny Michel for nothing for what, like a future fourth and a future 6th-round pick. That's not going to help you
I know
for
what
another.
the heck was he thinking? And you have an opportunity to get running backs during the off season, and he didn't go for it. Like I think what's his name was available. Oh, what's that guy's
Davius
name?
Murray or Murray,
Yeah,
Davius Murray's good.
yeah. I
But
mean, you
like
could always
they're
make trades too, and why trade Stephon Gilmore for basically a bag of footballs and when you could go try to get somebody, why do that? That is such a waste.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately it is a little bit of mismanagement by Bill Belichick. Where I mean, when you have Tom Brady for 20 years, you can do questionable things at the end of the day as long as you win. I remember when he traded Richard Seymour for our 1st-round pick, I thought that was dumb. Obviously, when you and I were kids, he cut Lawyer Malloy. Thought that was dumb. Trading Logan Makins, I thought that was dumb. Trading Matt Castle, we saw that coming, but throwing in Mike Vrabel into the deal was I thought that was done because he was still a useful player. So and then Belichick does do kind of things that make you wonder like what's he doing. But when you don't have Brady anymore, you're bound to become more criticized and scrutinized. And hopefully he can coach his way out of it. But I don't know, like even with the coaching of the assistants that he has, you don't really. He might even be overrated for all we know. And I'm not being a Belichick hater, but every one of his assistants besides Bill O'Brien really hasn't had any success. And Bill O'Brien's not even well liked by players for how he was in Houston. Joe Judge in New York is off to another horrible start to 1-5 second season.
He's
And
terrible.
yeah, and to be quite honest, I'm not sure if I want Belichick's kid really being the defensive coordinator of the team or even the future coach. I'd rather have Gerard Mayo. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Belichick. I'm sure maybe Belichick's kid is good, but very rarely do you ever see a great coach and his son go on to be a great coach as well. I mean, they're coaches. They're great coaches. They had sons that were kind of good, like Jim and John Mora. I think like that's a scenario, but I don't know. I don't think Brian or Steve Belichick are gonna be lucky enough to find a quarterback in the 6th round that's gonna have a 20-year career to give them the best job security that you can get in America. Because
Yeah, if you're Bob Kraft, you should be wondering and saying, what the hell's going on here? Because, we had 20 good years of good football play, and now it's like, this stinks. It's like, I know Mac Jones is young, and he's not going to be Brady, though, but, he
no,
did look a lot better against the Cowboys, though. He did look a lot better.
no, he looked good against Brady, going against Brady. But when you are Rob Kraft, it's one thing if Brady was on the physical decline, which, yeah, it looked like that a little bit in 2019. But also, he had no one to throw to. They traded Demarius Thomas. They cut Antonio Brown the following week. Josh Gordon couldn't stay off the drugs. It's next thing you know, he doesn't really have a receiving threat or pass catchers because it was the year after Gronk retired. Element gets banged up as the year goes on. And so, like obviously a great quarterback can get you over the hump, but a great quarterback can't necessarily do everything. Like look at Patrick Mahomes. He's probably in his prime right now, probably better than Brady is right now in terms of their prime. I think Brady's a better Hall of Famer, better grade, and everything else. So I'm saying like right now, physically, in terms of the actual age, Mahomes would be better just because he's younger. The guy's fast too, but he couldn't do anything in the Super Bowl. And the guy's supposed to be like Dan Marino with legs. At least that's how I view him as, because he can make every throw and he can also move and kind of run a little bit. So, so
He's got Tyreek Hill, too.
yeah, and Travis Kelce, who looks uncoverable half the time. Like you put a linebacker on him, he's faster than a linebacker, and you put a corner on him, that's probably your best bet. But he's bigger than most corners and just going to throw his weight around.
Yeah,
it's like trying to be like 170 trying to cover Gronk, or even 190. Like you go high up on him, you're going to get killed.
Yeah, I think Belichick thinks that, even if we have a good year with Mac Jones, or maybe he's just to the point where he's due to retire. Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he just says, well, we'll do the best we can, and that's it. I'm going to retire soon. No one actually knows when he's going to retire, so maybe this is it. Maybe he got him set up, and now he's like, okay, that's it. I'm going to retire. Who cares? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And but hey, we've also been lucky enough because when do you ever hear about a 20-year run in sports? So,
Yeah,
half the time, 5 years. And also too, like part of Belichick's biggest leverage was getting a guy like Brady to buy into his system where, like you see how different a great quarterback can make a team. Like, if you have no quarterback, you have no shot. You have a great quarterback, it can make all the world of difference.
yeah. Look at Green Bay. I mean, they've got a good team, but Aaron Rodgers, they're kind of flip flopping him around, and I like Aaron Rodgers actually. So, I don't know if he's going to retire or if this is going to be his last year with them, but I think they should just let him kiss his butt and let him do what he wants and bring him back until he's ready to call it a day because he's a great quarterback.
They don't grow in trees. I can tell you that.
No, that's true.
Because like I said, I'm kind of glad we have Mac Jones, and I really don't want to go through another year of Cam Newton.
Oh man, I don't want to go through. I don't want to go through what's that team that has. I don't want to be the Jets. So at least we won 2 games. But
Yeah,
uh, look at
we're playing it
Jacksonville.
this weekend.
Jacksonville is what 0-5 or something, and they got the
No,
number one
they
overall. Yeah, and they got the overall number one overall pick, so they're probably like fuming over there in Jacksonville. Like, what the hell?
yeah, but Urban Meyer, that coach is kind of he might not make it next year because of that whole incident he had at that restaurant at his bar out in Ohio. That the cute,
Yeah,
nice. Hey, she was a cute girl, but
true.
a bit of a creepy old man. So
But yeah, it's like, I mean, I always say it could be worse. I mean, the Patriots have a good reputation. They got a good team. I hope maybe they'll rebound. If not this year, then next year. We're gonna have good draft picks. I'm hoping Belichick doesn't do the picking, but you know, I know for a fact that, and I'm gonna close on this, and I always hear sports radio say this, that once Bob Kraft retires and Jonathan Kraft takes over, because that's imminent, Jonathan Kraft won't take any guff. If the team suffers, Jonathan Kraft will be the type to say, okay, bye-bye, see you later, because he's all about the Patriots. As where Bob Kraft is like, oh, okay, Bill, we'll give you another year. We'll give you another year. Jonathan Kraft put his foot down and be like, I want this team to succeed. He'd probably have canned a lot of people by now and said, this is who I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. Because Jonathan Kraft is more like live and die hard Patriots, where Bob Kraft has like, he's more about, I like he's more about having that person long term. You know what I mean? Something like that.
oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like unfortunately, in the NFL, a majority of teams fire their coaches after a couple of years and been lucky where it's been kind of constant, consistent, and successful. Hopefully we can do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got with sports,
Yeah,
because we
me too.
got the stuff coming up.
Any score change on the Red Sox?
Oh no, the game doesn't start for another 20 minutes.
Oh, so it's an 8 o'clock start. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
no, my fault. I thought it was 7, but
let's wish the Red Sox well and hope they can get to Game 7.
yeah, okay. Got my fingers crossed, and yeah, I'm definitely ready. Definitely excited, and hopefully they win. Celtics can win, and Pats, and we'll keep the Boston parlay of championship title town moving on.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Scott, thank you for a good time as always. Looking forward to next week, and to all our listeners and viewers, stay tuned for more good stories, classic, folklore, and a little bit of sports update.
Absolutely. And enjoy the rest of your week and stay tuned for some more scary Creeptastic. Have a nice one.
Hey, you too, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.